What's going on, guys? What's going on, Thai Squad? What's going on, everybody? So, Sophie Cunningham has got fined $500 for what she said about Paige, and we know that Sophie Cunningham got injured, and I hope she comes back 100% better. I definitely hope that Sophie Cunningham comes back 100% better. And because the Fever to me need Sophie Cunningham. Like, she stepped up and had Caitlin Clark's back. And I think when somebody has your back, that shows respect. And I think Sophie Cunningham being like the Draymond Green to Sophie Cunningham being like the Draymond Green to Caitlin Clark, like Draymond Green is to Steph Curry in the NBA. I do think that with her injury, this is kind of a setback for the Indiana Fever. This is a setback because your sits in the West, what your sits in the East, I mean, your sits in the East, your sits in the East with a 19-16 record. The big question is when will Caitlin Clark come back? Caitlin Clark, I think, is a incredible player. Now she is incredible. Caitlin Clark is a credible player. I'll give Caitlin Clark a lot of credit when she's healthy. But the Fever have had the injury bug. We have seen that. We're seeing the injury bug with Caitlin Clark. Like we're seeing the injury bug. Like we're seeing the injury bug with Caitlin Clark. We're seeing it with the Fever team that is kind of struggling right now. The Fever are 100% struggling, but they're a 6th seed, which is great. That could get you in the playoffs. But you're also going to have to, honestly, win a must-win game to put yourself back in the playoffs. I mean, to keep your team in the playoffs, I mean. Because if you're able to do that, able to keep your team in the playoffs, I'm going to say this 100% that I think Sophie Cunningham is a good player. She's going to come back healthy because that is what the Fever are missing. They're missing a lot of good pieces. Like the Fever had a lot of good pieces. They made a lot of good moves in the offseason. But with Sophie Cunningham getting fined for saying something about Paige Beckers, and now that she's injured, she's out for the rest of the season. We will not see Sophie Cunningham until next season. Because with her going down with an injury, like I said before, I hope she comes back 100% better. You don't like to see somebody go down with an injury. But when Sophie Cunningham is on the court, you know what she's going to bring. Without Sophie Cunningham not playing for the Fever, we're looking at a Fever team that's probably going to get beat in the playoffs if they make the playoffs, because you got the Valkyries, you got the Aces, you got the Farts, you got the Minnesota Lynx. Like, you can't win more games, because this is a team that is 19-16. Without Sophie Cunningham on the court for the Fever might get beat like they beat the Sky in the regular season. They beat the Sky twice. You got the Minnesota Lynx twice coming up. But with Sophie Cunningham getting fined for saying that something about Paige, getting fined $500, and her being injured, I think the Fever can still be in the playoff picture. But the question is, for Sophie Cunningham, is that going to be enough for the Fever to stay in the playoff picture without Sophie Cunningham, without Caitlin Clark? Because the Fever got the injury bug. And guys, like, with everything going on in the NBA in the WNBA right now, like, people throwing stuff on the court, that isn't right. These WNBA players want a ball. They just want to ball. All they want to do is ball. All they want to do is ball. And for those that really don't like to see these WNBA players ball out, which I like to see them ball out, but for those that don't want to see them ball out, don't show up to their games, don't throw stuff on the court, because you wouldn't do that if it was an NBA game. You definitely wouldn't do something like that if it was an NBA basketball game. Yes, a fan would run on the court if it was an NBA game. But throwing something on the court, it just isn't right for that to happen. And with the Fever, with these players wanting to ball, and I'll get back to the Fever in a second. All they want to do is ball and put on a show for their fans. That's all they want to do. If you don't like the WNBA, or if you don't like the WNBA, find something else better to do. But for Sophie Cunningham getting fined for saying something about Paige Beckers is kind of interesting. But guys, sub if you're new and never give up your dreams. And I hope all of you guys are safe out there. And peace.